Welcome, I'm Alex DeRoussel. I'm joined here by Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson is an English teacher here at MHS. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. So, before we kind of get into talking about yourself and some of your hobbies, first I'm going to get you warmed up with a few just kind of easy softball questions here. So, favorite ice cream flavor?
Probably butter pecan. I feel like every day I get older, I'm getting more close to the age that people like butter pecan. Like I feel like you have to be 80 to like it, but I've liked it ever since I was young.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely one I haven't heard. And is that like butter pecan from like Graders or?
Yeah, dude. Graders does it right.
Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with Graders.
Yeah.
So, and then second one, what is your favorite type of animal? Like as a pet or, just like kind of, you could see any animal, what would it be?
I like dogs. I got a dog. He's pretty awesome. He's like always happy, so it's kind of like puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
But also, I don't really know. I mean, have you ever seen those goats that can like climb walls?
Yeah,
those are pretty cool. I saw a YouTube video of that the other day. Pretty sick animal.
Mm-hmm.
Just like adapting to human structures, just climbing these brick walls like the Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Yeah, goats isn't one I've heard.
Yeah,
before
goats.
Either, so, but I do agree with you there. They're pretty fascinating how
Yeah.
you can do that. So kind of getting into talking about you and your hobbies. Speaking of climbing, you are a rock climber. So can you talk to me a little bit about how you got into that kind of hobby, I guess?
Yeah, so I was afraid of heights for all my life, and then I went on a date, and my wife, my to-be wife, said that was her hobby, and so I was like, well, I got to do this now. And so after a couple months, she like convinced me that it was a good thing. And I was scared for like, I think 6 months of doing it, like worried that the ropes were gonna just magically break and all that. But rock climbing is a really great sport. There's like a bunch of gyms in Cincinnati because we're close to the Red River Gorge. And Red River Gorge is like a mecca of like rock climbing. Like people from all over the world go there. It's got thousands of routes and there's more added every day. And it's like world-class rock climbing. So a lot of people that climb in Red River Gorge live in Cincinnati and climb there. So it's a huge climbing community. It's like a fun way to work out, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, interesting. I've been to Red River Gorge, just to hike, never to climb.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that about there, which is pretty interesting. So how long ago was this that you picked it up?
I've been climbing now for about 4 years, I think. So late in life. I wish I would have picked it up earlier, but I think it's one of those weird sports where you got to be at the right place, the right time to meet people who do it. But it's a really, I mean, it just hits all the things with the sport. Like you're not really competing against anyone but yourself, and you get to cheer everyone else on because they're all doing their own thing. And it works out every part of your body except for maybe some push muscles that you can supplement other times. But
yeah,
it's a great sport.
So if you could climb anywhere, in the world, do you have like kind of one spot that you're like, oh, I wish I could go? Or if you've been there, where's that spot been?
Dude, I don't know. Like, there's places everywhere. Like, it's kind of like ever since that Alex Honnold's documentary came out about the free soloing thing, like climbing's kind of like blossoms, and also it was in the Olympic. And so like people are finding new places everywhere. So there's like a place in Columbus you can go climb, which you don't think of like climbing things when you are in Ohio. And there's bouldering is another form of climbing where you climb boulders without ropes.
Yeah.
Not very high, 10 feet, 20 feet. There's places like that all over the place. I mean, you can go to Kazakhstan and I mean anywhere really.
Yeah.
I would love to go to Yosemite though. That's like the OG climbing spot and climb there. That's probably where I want to go.
Yeah. Well, kind of switching to another one of your hobbies, you are a very talented musician.
Thank you very much.
And you play in bands, outside of the school, but you also are part of the AMs here at the school. So can you talk to me a little bit about, what instruments you play, how you got started in music, and kind of just like that stuff?
Yeah, so I started with the clarinet because I thought one of my best friends was going to play the clarinet for band in 5th grade, and he showed up with a trumpet, which was a cornet, and I misheard him. So I played the clarinet for a year and a half, like kind of didn't know anybody in there, and that kind of probably was one of the reasons why I quit. but it wasn't for me. I couldn't play Nirvana on a clarinet.
Yeah.
And so I switched to guitar, and I was able to have lessons. But then after 2 years of lessons, in I think it was like 8th or 9th grade, I stopped doing lessons, and I just kind of learned everything by myself. So I can't read any music at all.
Wow.
And then from guitar, I learned how to play drums and bass and sing. And then I've been in a bunch of different bands, lived in Nashville, did that whole thing, done recording studio stuff, recorded other people and a lot of stuff. And it's like, I think everyone should have like a musical hobby, because it's like one of those things where if you get home and you play whatever instrument, you kind of lose yourself for a time, and it's kind of like a therapeutic kind of like thing. So like, I love music.
Wow, I did not know that you were involved in some recordings, and obviously Nashville is like that's the place to be if you're in music.
Right.
So that's very impressive. Did you play through college at all?
Oh yeah. I was a drummer basically in college. I played guitar still, but like no one knew any drummers, and because drumming's like you got to carry all this stuff with you, and so that's what I did for college, and I think like most of my 20s, that's what I was doing in Nashville as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know any drumming lingo. If someone's like, hey, can you do a paradiddle? I'll be like, I don't really know what that means, man. So like, I was always embarrassed whenever someone would start talking about my set or the size of the cymbal that I had, and be like, oh man, I love 17-inch ride cymbals. And I'd be like, oh, okay, great, man. I got this from hand-me-down drum set, so cool.
Now, kind of one final question. Have you ever thought about, kind of combining, or have you found a way to combine your two, hobbies? I know they're kind of polar opposites, I guess. One's, a lot of physical stuff, and one's more, therapeutic, as you said. But have you ever found a way to connect the two?
Not really. I mean, you could bring a guitar to a campsite. I have a mandolin. I'm trying to learn that right now. You can bring that stuff, and I mean, usually when you're outside rock climbing, you have to camp places, otherwise you have to drive a lot in a day. So but mostly I added another art to me, which was photography. I got a dedicated camera like a year and a half ago. And that's been really fun to kind of see how that makes you see the world differently. So that's kind of what I've been doing with climbing.
Yeah. So that's kind of, would you say that's kind of like therapeutic as well? Kind of taking those pictures, while you're out, at these, I'm sure, gorgeous places where you're climbing. Yeah.
I mean, playing music is like paying it more attention to sound, and camera is like paying more attention to things around you. So like any art really is making you pay more attention to something that you wouldn't normally do, to like narrowing your focus. So like, I love doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear, and kind of puts things in perspective, for myself and anyone else who's, watching and thinking about picking up something new.
Sure, yeah.
So we'd like to thank you.
It's never too late.
Yeah, as in your case. So we'd like to thank you for taking your time, and be sure to catch us next time as we catch up with more of the teachers around MHS.
Cool, appreciate it. Thank you very much.